everybody.
Hello.
Thank you, Jason. I am with Jason Wilsher Mills, and I'm also joined today by Caroline, our BSL interpreter. I'm told if you right-click and select pin, you'll be able to see Caroline, and she's going to be with us for the next 30 minutes, interpreting our conversation. So yes, Jason, hello.
Hello. Long time no see. Yeah.
I was going to say, when we had our conversation last March, we were just venturing into this unknown territory. We'd cancelled our live I Am festival, which you were going to be the wow in, and we took everything online. We didn't know what we were doing. And so now we've had this 15 months since we met. I'd like to know from you, as an artist, what have been the main challenges and how have you dealt with them?
Well, one of the main challenges was having to go into lockdown like basically straight away, because I was terrified, and that was like most people. But as a disabled person who was in that sort of vulnerable category, that was like, and then everything shut down. So everything that I was supposed to be doing didn't happen, and commissions. I mean, I was supposed to be doing my first bronze last year, and that fell through because suddenly the world changed, and I kind of thought right from the start, I'm not having this. Blimey, I can't keep taking these hits. So I decided, I had a really good talk with my relationship manager at the Arts Council, and I said, look, the money that was supposed to be going on that sort of project, could we use it for something else? And they said, yes, absolutely. And I thought, well, what's the biggest issue that I'm sort of experiencing at the moment? And the biggest issue is that I couldn't share my work, and I couldn't support my people. I don't mean crikey. That wasn't a Martin Luther King moment. I mean,
no, I
mean, disabled groups. My mates, that's a better, my mates that I was supporting through projects. And I came up with this idea, and I had this memory of, as a kid, of watching the Phantom Toll Booth, which is a Hanna-Barbera cartoon that this little lad is in his bedroom, and this toll booth appears that transports him to a magical world. And I thought, wouldn't that be wonderful if you could do that in your living room, and I could communicate and share my work with my friends, And I kind of came up with this really daft idea, and it happened. It grew from this lovely little acorn, and it was a real direct response, because I didn't furlough myself. I carried on working through lockdown, and I felt that was the right thing to do, because I really wanted to sort of support people in a really sort of direct way, and I really wanted to push myself as well. So I was working with partners, Hot Knife Digital Media. And I said, I want to build this thing. I want to build this wonderful, fantastic world. Can we do it? And they said, well, yes, we'll have a go. We'll have a go. So I spent, it kept me really busy. So I was doing sort of, so in fact, I'll show you what I was doing through that time. I'll just, this is not a very elegant segue, but I'm doing my best here. But so you should be able to see. So you should be able to see, this is the Argonauts designed for the sculpture, which became this. And that went in my garden. So it's supposed to go to the Tate with you guys, but I couldn't do that. So I had sculpture shows in my garden in lockdown. And on a night, they did this. So they lit up and were kind of amazing, and they're 10 foot tall, these things. So they were saying hello to my neighbours, and bless her, one of my neighbours was actually doing drawings from her window of me in the garden putting these up, which is very meta. It's beautiful. It was so when I was designing this thing, I started scanning my head, and so basically I was using LiDAR to. I took hundreds and hundreds of photographs of my head, which then became this kind of crazy, the Jimp, as we call him, Jace and Imp. And then he went to this, and these were the tests. So so this character is like the gatekeeper, and I said I wanted his legs to wobble around like that, because I've got funny I've got funny little legs. I'm quite a big geezer, but I've got funny little legs like that. So so we had all these little tests where we wanted to make them wobble and do all kind of things. And so he was going to be I said I want a gatekeeper, and then I said about the portal thing. So these were the tests for the gallery. So these portals would appear like in the middle of nowhere, and then you could go into them, literally walk around the gallery, and it's a lot more decorated now. But these were the original tests. So you can see my sculptures doing their thing, and you're met with the little Jimp who's got wings, and he talks like Chorlton and the Wheelies, and does all manner of things, and he's very northern, like anyway. So yeah, that's that. So that was the start of it, and it was like a really magical time. It was my most creative period. I was like sort of doing like really experimental stuff in my front room, like scared, but I was getting up every day at like 6:30, 7, working all day, and like just doing this stuff. And so that actually became an app, and you can download it for free, and it's called Jason Residential, and there's a cinema in there as well, because I can actually deliver workshops through that app as well. So you can, I turn up and in your living room or wherever, and I can take you around the gallery, and everything's interactive. And it was adopted by Shape Arts for other disabled artists to use. So this idea is a template. So eventually would become an artist Airbnb. So this beautiful technology could then be used for other artists. And it's a bit like being John Malkovich. So being inside the artist's head. So we decorate it to look like what the artist wants it to represent. So it's not just like, because I saw loads of virtual exhibitions that were like white wall and wooden floor representations. And I thought, well, I want people to be able to get inside my head. What a scary thought. I mean, it's bad enough just having a conversation with me, but crikey. So I really pushed the technology, and I'm really chuffed with what came out of it. And I'm really chuffed that Shape Arts adopted it, and it was used for their Adam Reynolds residency, which I forgot about. I was awarded last year as well. So the best thing that ever happened to me, and then it was bloody lockdown. so it was like a crazy, because I was like all excited and getting ready for this amazing year, and then there was a lockdown. But I thought, well, disabled people are really good at adapting, and I thought, you're going to have to adapt, mate, and you're going to have to do it pretty quickly. And because I'm a digital artist, I kind of saw some possibilities there, and it transformed. This awful experience transformed my practice. It meant that I could support people. So I worked with like hundreds of people throughout this time, delivering workshops, supporting people, mentoring young disabled artists, which I'm so chuffed about. Hello, Jonathan. It's yeah. It was something that I felt really passionate about. I think if you're gonna walk the walk or wheel the wheel, in my case, you got to do it. You got to do it, and you got to put yourself out. So I didn't just want to do things that look nice. I wanted to do things that kind of earned the money and supported people and were good, because my friend came up with a fantastic sort of metaphor for all this. she said, "Your work is really punk, Jason." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, she said, I think punk's about sort of being compassionate, really, and your work is about being compassionate." And it's such a corny thing to say, but if you believe it, it comes true. It's and being compassionate. It's not. You don't have to wear a t-shirt, and all you have to do is kind of be a bit balmy and make weird art, and So
and then you're so approachable, Jason. I mean, I think that's part of it, really. You mentioned Shape Art. Sorry to cut in, but I know that as part of the work you've been doing with Shape Arts, you've been working with some schools, and
yeah.
something that I found in my other work with schools, they found it really, really difficult to work with partners, arts organisations, artists, obviously because everyone's super cautious at the moment. I'd be quite interested to know a bit more about what you've done with schools. Having been in a school with you, in fact, 2 schools last year, I was really fascinated by your practice and that mentoring and that compassion and the inclusive way that you work. So can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, well, I kind of decided that was going to continue, but how do I make it sort of happen? So we set up, I set up a system whereby I could have my face on the screen, and they could see my iPad, and it'd be like, again, getting into my head, but we could do a workshop. So I basically was able to broadcast directly to schools and for them to basically respond. And we kept it safe by, it wasn't a two-way broadcast, but I had my PA on another laptop receiving questions and stuff and getting images, and I was reacting live, and we were printing them out and showing them up or sharing them on the screen or whatever. So it's like I was being there, and the impact on the kids has been huge. That I mean, to get someone coming to your school who's on a screen, and it helped that I'd been on like the ITV iDents thing, and that's him off the telly. That's but it was really lovely because you build up these relationships, even if you're broadcasting. And the teachers were saying, "Oh, so and so's done this. Faisal's done this. What do you think of it?" And I was giving feedback in real time. So talking like this, and then putting that on my iPad, and then doing drawings connected to it, and that project resulted in them all getting the Arts Award. It resulted in them showing their work at the shoe headquarters on Regent Street. So there's I think an exhibition goes up quite soon, which I think, given how we did it in lockdown, literally in lockdown, I was broadcasting. I pre-recorded sessions as well. So if they were confused about anything, or if it wasn't right to do a live session, we pre-recorded and then got the Q&As through emails. But whatever obstacle there was, we overcame it. And I think that project with Shape and Shoe, bless them, because we made it happen. We made it happen. And regardless of, the obstacles, we got over them and around them. And the kids really bent, and the artwork that they produced was kind of beautiful. It was because we didn't use digital stuff. It was anything they could use, because it was virtual and stuff. So, and it was about sort of getting to, like, they'd request me to draw things, so I'd have to. So it was really interactive. I'd have to sort of draw it on the screen, and sometimes it was really cool because it didn't look anything like what they were asking for, because cats might end up looking like the House of Parliament or whatever. But but they liked the fact that if I made a mistake, how I put it right and changed it, and that has continued. It's in fact it's grown. So my engagement figures are bonkers for this year. It's that the Arts Council have supported me again to do Jason and the Argonauts on tour. So this idea that came up years ago is ongoing, and it's kind of part of what I think is a sort of mini revolution of within disability arts of using technology and a bonkers artist that kind of is I sort of liken it to, imagine if the Beano in the 1970s started doing political workshops or something. But using kind of state-of-the-art technology. That's where I'm coming from, but it kind of works. It's good.
Yeah, I mean, it seems incredibly inclusive. One of the things that we were certainly thinking about when we wanted to have our festival online, and something teachers would say all the time, how does an online festival, how do online activities become meaningful for students? And, you know, that interaction shows that it really can be. I mean, whether there's a sense of festival, well, I don't know, perhaps this week will tell us. But yeah, but what's really interesting, I mean, so you go from the school to some quite a high profile work that you've been doing. I mean, you've touched on it a little bit. I mean, I remember you talking about the German media coming and looking at the inflatables in your garden. And that was like quite exciting. And I watched the piece and I thought it was really good. But that felt like just the start of a journey which I think has really grown and grown. If it can grow this year.
Yeah, well, I think I was talking to my relationship manager the other day from the Arts Council, and he said, "Well, you've met your engagement figures for the next 25 years."
Yes.
I think I did. I was very lucky to be chosen for the ITV iDents, ITV Creates, and I worked with. That they asked me who I wanted to work with. So I gave them 3 choices of people that I'd really like to work with. And one of them was a puppeteer. So they put me alongside this incredible puppet maker, Judith Hope. And we worked together virtually like this. It was over Christmas and all that kind of stuff. And we filmed in, I think it was February, right in the middle of lockdown when it was really severe. I went down to London in this bubble, and it was really odd. It was the weirdest thing I've ever done because everything was shut, but they got this theatre for us to work in that was kind of sort of cordoned off, so that it was sterile or whatever. So, and we filmed, and there was a beautiful piece of puppetry was produced, which I sneaked in a bit of my sort of subversive stuff by sending messages to the audience via Makaton in the puppet. So, and it wasn't anything kind of, Johnny Rotten stuff. It was, I was thinking that the Beatles, when they got a chance to send a message to the world, the first live broadcast, they wrote "All You Need Is Love." And I thought, what message could you send that was like, if you got a chance? And it was friendship. It was love. This is a bit of a bleak one, a bit of a cat, for the, which I thought was, it's to do with Emlyn up in Manchester and Venture Arts. And there was another one, and I struggle with my fingers here with the Makaton sign, but party, so it was like saying, friendship, our friendship is important. You're not a group to me, you are my friends, and we will party soon. And so it was again sort of using something kind of and nobody would have recognized that, but I managed to sneak it in, which I thought was a really lovely, beautiful sort of idea.
And you've been doing some work in Folkestone, I think.
Oh yeah, I've got the Folkestone. If anybody down south can go see the Folkestone Triennial, which opens in July. So I've got a new sculpture opening in July. I've also got my first VR virtual reality video game being launched in August at Shire Hall in Dorset, and that tells it's a race game, a racing game. So you're fully immersed in this game, but you're in a world that's completely, even the trees have calipers. That everything is it's definitely my world. So and in in October, I have an exhibition opening with my biggest piece of art to date, again designed in lockdown, but this piece of art is an inflatable sculpture that I think is about 20 meters long, and is so big that you can walk inside. And it's of a prone figure lying on the floor, a bit like Gulliver's Travels. But this figure is telling the story of Changing Places, which is a movement about better facilities for disabled people, that need to be laid down so they can be changed, and their needs can be seen to. And it's a fun piece. You wouldn't believe it, but it is, because it's about toilets. There's the entrance to the figure is where you would get it to be, but it's not anatomical or anything. It's very, very kind of PG, Beano, nice. And it's informative because it's colourful, psychedelic, but it kind of tells a story that needs to be told, and it's got faces on it that need to be seen. It's got a real sort of narrative which is very powerful, and I'm really chuffed that the Changing Places movement have kind of adopted it and seen it, because it's going to tour after it's on show at 2021, and I think it's going to Hastings next year, and somewhere, I can't remember the name of the gallery, but it's very exciting that this thing's going to actually go out and have a life of its own and be part of I was going to say part of a movement, but I've got to be careful. it's kind of it's a force for the good. So and next year I've got a new sculpture at the People's History Museum in Manchester, again, all about the stuff that I'm interested in, and I'm working with for that to build it. I'm working with groups all around the country and building up relationships with Venture Arts in Manchester. I'm doing a new inflatable for This New Ground as well, that's based in your neck of the woods. So it's I'm pretty busy, but I kind of like it. It's good, and I'm able to keep. And if you watch the telly in September, October, Sky Arts, you might see a familiar face. That's all I'm allowed to say about it. But there's been a lot of filming going on and stuff happening that was pretty intense. But it's a really interesting project, which you will see. So yeah, there's a lot happening, but that's what I want, really. I want to keep busy and keep supporting, because whatever I do, it's about sort of there's an equation whereby you do stuff, but you also support people with it as well. You don't just, I don't believe you stand behind the studio door and be distant. You've got to kind of be part of the community, and because it's my friends, and they've had a really tough lockdown. Mine has been easy in comparison, and this is me being serious, for a change. But it's really powerful stuff, and you've got to. All we can do is care and practice what we preach, really, and keep supporting those groups and those kind of people, because it's needed more than ever, really.
I love that. And I love that whole thing about changing places. We should really all be so much more aware of challenges that people face, that, for many of us, we don't have to think about those things. And what a creative way of bringing it to people's attention, to go, look at this, have a think, do something about it, do what you can.
Yeah.
I've got a question that came from one of our audience. And so I'm going to read it because I want to make sure I get the wording right. So it runs, how do you channel the creativity, learning and artistic thinking into the community by means of technology? And how do you make sure that the disabled / needed communities understand your thinking?
Well, I think the way that I've approached it in the past year sort of is a really good indicator of that. It's a response almost. an echo of what the question is sort of wanting to know. You build it. It's the old Field of Dreams thing, really. If you build it, they will come. And I kind of felt that this had to be designed not in isolation. That the way I approach to working with disabled people is to ask them what they think and what they want. I mean, they've got to trust me with the vision and that stuff. But in terms of the mechanics and how you do it, you talk to people. What because I'm lucky in some ways that I'm disabled myself, so I want to be asked. I want to be part of the process, the debate. I don't like stuff that's done to me. I like stuff that, where you kind of been part of the whole thing. So when I was designing this, I was constantly asking groups, what do you think of this? What I mean, I'm constantly asking their permission that it's okay to sort of do the things I do. Because if it's about them, it's got to be with them, it's you can't do these things from a distance and set yourself up as a spokesperson, because I'm definitely not. I sort of tell stories, but I tell stories with permission and alongside and with people who I consider to be my friends, and people that are incredibly important to me. So you communicate really clearly. You make the people that you're if you're wanting to work with groups of disabled people, you communicate with them, you ask them what they want, and then you say, well, this is what I can give. If the digital stuff, I teach them, I take a lot of time to teach them the skills that they need to be able to do it. And as you've seen yourself, Lynne, it works. It's kind of, again, it's putting your money where your mouth. I was told years ago that I could never use technology with, groups of adults with learning disabilities. And I said, well, what you mean, like Anthony over there just now, who's using an iPad to do a self-portrait of himself playing football for, I think it was Aston Villa or something. It was preposterous. It was ridiculous. And I love being told that you can't do that, because then you go and do it, and they go and do it, and it's about being honest as well. Just saying, this is what we can do, and this is how we can do it. Is that okay with you guys? And it generally works out really well. The technology thing is because I've just upgraded a fair bit of my equipment, and I'm using far more sort of complex stuff, because I think they're going to be okay using it. And I want to give them the best opportunities. I want them to have the same opportunities that I do. And when I say them, I'm talking about Anthony and David and Michelle and Jennifer and the people, Emlyn and Dominic, all the people that I work with around the UK that are so important. I was even in lockdown, there was a lad that did a Jason Wilsher Mills workshop at this new ground, and they sent me some photographs. So I sent them some of my artwork and postcards and stuff. This is all in lockdown, and a group I never worked with, but it was a really powerful thing, because it was kind of supporting this kind of, we were all in it together and we were supporting each other. So, the least I could do was put something in an envelope, and the impact that had on Faisal was immense, because artists don't do that. They don't write you a letter and say, oh, well, that was amazing what you did. And it's small sort of gestures of kindness and stuff make the difference. And it's just that I use technology to do it. And I'm a Luddite about the technology. I make it do what I want to do, not the other way around. And I'm evangelical about it. I'm enthusiastic about it. And I don't take it seriously as well. I make mistakes as well in front of the guys when I'm doing stuff. They think it's funny because, it's a bit like Columbo delivering an art session. I go and another thing, and then it all comes together. I solve that hopefully produce something that makes kind of sense. But that's my approach, really. Just keep it human and real.
And on that note, we are coming to the end of our conversation. And I really have enjoyed so much hearing. You're a force of nature, Jason. I think in 10 years I could achieve what you've done in the last year. But not that I'm trying to be sycophantic or anything. I
had a full head of hair when I started last year. It's like a lion's mane.
It's taken its toll on all of us. But I think it's just so inspiring to hear what you've been doing. I'm just going to check in. Somebody's sending me a message. Yeah. So unfortunately, I'm being told I have to wind up. So thank you. I'm hoping that we don't have to wait another year for another virtual catch up, but that actually we'll be able to meet face to face a bit sooner than that, along with some of our young people in our schools, our teachers and other artists. I think we're all learning from each other. Kindness, humanity, all of those things I take from this conversation, and I hope people have really enjoyed this window on your world. Thank you, Caroline, very much for being with us. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in, and wishing you farewell.